All right, let's take a look at what we have here. We have two different equations describing two different people driving someplace. It says Steve drives 100 kilometers per hour and takes T hours to complete the journey. So 100, 100, there you go, 100 times hours will describe how far he has driven from a certain location, from Boston. Alex, who drives 80 kilometers per hour, is 60 kilometers away from Patterson when Steve reaches Patterson. So it looks like at the same time they are at these positions. So at 80 times T, he is 60 kilometers away. Solve the system of linear equations by then find the distance between Boston and Patterson. All right, so these two equations will tell us when they are at the same time and at this distance away from each other. So this will tell us when Steve reaches Patterson. It will tell us the time and the distance that Steve reaches Patterson, how far he has gone and how long it took. So let's solve these two together. Let's T and D. So at 1 hour, Steve was 100 kilometers. And at 1 hour, Alex, 100 times 1 gives me 100. Alex at 1 hour, I'll put in 1 for T. I put in 1 for T here. I'll write it out here. It's some distance away as described by this equation. We'll add 60 to both sides, and D in this case is 140. And since these two are not the same time and distance, we know that we haven't reached the point where this is occurring. So let's put in 2, and we'll get 200 here. 100 times 2. And down here, let me move this up so we can see what's going on. Equals D minus 60. 160 equals D minus 60. Add 60. Add 60. We have 120 equals D. So 2 gives us 120. We recognize that this is going up by 20 miles, down by 20 miles every time. This is the distance away from Patterson that he is. And let's keep going here. Let's do 3. I'm sorry, it's early. This is 220. 220. There we go. Good. Let's keep going. This is 3. We see this is going up by 80 each time. To prove that, I'll go ahead and solve that equation one more time. 80 times 3 equals D minus 60. I have 240 equals D minus 60. I add 60 to both sides, and I have D equals 300. So in 3 hours, 300. So in 3 hours, this scenario is true because they're both at the same point. At this time, Steve has reached Patterson, and Alex is behind him by 60 kilometers away from Patterson. So now we know that Steve has driven for 3 hours and has driven 300 kilometers. And Patterson, the distance between Boston and Patterson is going to be 300 kilometers. If you have any questions, send me an email.